Well, hello, my Jedi friends. Today I bring you a bit of a live stream, the Serendipitous live stream, no doubt. And why have we got the Serendipitous live stream? What's that all about, Adam? What the hell? What the hell? Well, are you feeling lucky? Do you feel serendipitous today? Well, I would invite you to join in the fun, join in the chat. Let me know where you're at, and I will just talk randomly until that happens. So today, I think the theme that's really coming up is there's a lot of you out there struggling and feeling very lonely and isolated at the moment. And this is to do with just how brutal the process of waking up is. Waking up is a really, really brutal process. It's rough, folks. It's really properly rough. And you feel very isolated when it happens. It's certainly not an easy thing to do. Waking up, it is. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. It's a tough one, but we've all got to deal with it. And how can you deal with that? How can you deal with it? Well, let's talk about the main lesson that you have to get, that you have to get, that you have to wake up to, my Jedi friend. You have to wake up to the fact that it's time to be your own best friend. Your own best friend. Oh, we've got the Owl Hawk. It's Anna and Jill in Ireland. I've got 2 for 1. Anna and Jill. Fair play for joining me. The Irish crowd are here. That is good. That is very lucky. We're going to add a couple of leprechauns to the mix this time. We are adding the leprechaun energy, the lucky Irish. Well, we're just talking about just how brutal it is, to wake up, because it is a bit like and here's a little sneak preview. I've just recorded a little video that I'm going to release in about 4 days' time, and it is the best analogy I found for it is that you were an eagle placed in a chicken nest. You've been playing with the chickens, my Jedi friends, playing with the chickens. And the day has come where you've woke up and you want to fly. And you think you could fly or should fly, but no one else thinks it's possible because you're surrounded by a bunch of chickens. Cluck, 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 cluck. So there's a little sneak preview of a video that I've got coming up. The awakening, the brutality of the awakening when one day you realize you are an eagle surrounded by chickens, surrounded by the chickens. And this is why you can't have sensible conversations with anybody that you're close to, with your family. They just don't get it at all. They just don't get it at all. Got no idea what it's all about. And you're having these conversations, you're having this awakening, you're unplugging from the matrix. You took the red pill and now you're regretting ever taking it. It's like, why? What's going on? Why can't anyone else see this? Why can't they see these sleepy, sheepy people? Why can't they? Why can't they wake up? Can we wake them up? And you've done your best. You have done your best. So you shouldn't hold that against yourself. But what the real message is, rather than analyze all the lunacy outside, the whole point of energy work, the whole point of this channel is to really own your own energy space. Own your own energy space. And the real litmus test is, how do you function when your entire world collapses around you? And there's a title of a video that is to come. I've just recorded it, folks. It's just to come. Just to come. How do you stay zen when your whole world collapses around you? It falls, it collapses. The collapse of Rome, the empire is falling down. The volcano has gone off and it's coming your way. Coming to a road near you. Coming to a coliseum near you sometime soon, folks. Really fucking soon in the case of the of the volcano in that environment. I'm spinning off track now. Some of you will know my penchant for history, and I can only imagine what it must have been sitting in Rome the day that the volcano went off. They said that the lava, the storm of it all, was traveling at a couple of 100 miles an hour. I can only imagine what it must have been like sitting down there, enjoying your trip by the spa, watching your fight at the Coliseum as you do, and then suddenly, bang, The volcano has erupted. What does that mean, folks? What is going to happen next? Well, in many respects, the way that things are happening at the moment, the the way that the frequency of the planet is raising, that when change happens, it happens fast and it can be brutal. It can be brutal, and it is brutal. There's no changing that. There's no getting out of it. And it's hard work. If you're one of the people that is waking up, it can be hard work. It can be very isolating. And it's a very tough situation to deal with, my Jedi friends. So, what I'm going to do, I've been guided, I've been inspired, folks, to take you. As we're doing this video, rather than me just talking, I'm going to take you through a little energy exercise just to set you up in a better place while you're watching. If you're going to listen to me, you might as well energize yourself while you're doing it. Because here is the thing that a lot of people don't get. You might know it in principle, but do you actually do it? It's that you don't have to put time aside to work with energy. You could do it anytime, any place, anywhere. Now, I say anytime, any place, anywhere. It comes with caveats. Don't do it while you're driving, all that kind of thing. You know, if you're doing something where you're genuine, your safety is an issue. I don't want you falling down potholes or anything like that while you're doing energy work, but you can do it, especially if you sat down and you're watching this. So let's do it. Let's do it. If you're in a safe spot. So let's start now. Even while you're watching this stream, you can get yourself energized. So we're going to start by grounding ourselves. And you ground yourself by just imagining a ball of light in the center of the earth and a cord connecting to your spine. Now, energy follows thought. So just by thinking it, you're grounded. You don't have to visualize it. You don't have to feel it or anything. You just have to think it, and it is. That's how energy works. Energy follows thought. So now that you're grounded, just imagine a big ball of light above your head and radiating white light right through your being right now. Now you're energizing. Now, while you're watching this, just slow down your breathing. So as you're watching this now, you're energizing. You're energizing, you're watching, you're multitasking, you're dealing with energy. The truth is that you're always dealing with energy. You're always working with energy because every thought that you have is energy. 24/7, you're energizing things. So whatever you're thinking, it really does create your reality. And it's very tempting to get drawn into a negative space, the way the world's going at the moment. So I'm here to remind you that it is your duty to yourself to manifest a more positive space. And this is really what the essence of energy work is at its very core. At its very core, it is the knowledge that you have the power, even if disaster is happening in your world. Absolutely disaster. The fall of Rome, the fall of the empire. If that's happening to you, then you can at least energize yourself in the here and now. You catch yourself with your thoughts and you can decide to energize yourself. It's a gift to yourself. That's what it is. That's what it is. I've got Candy here saying hellos. Well, hello again, Candy. It's you again. Well, you're very welcome back, my Jedi friend. We've got more people on the thread. That's what I like to see. Bit of interaction. You know the score, folks. I'll read it all out. I will read it all out. It doesn't matter how controversial, because you know what I'm like. You know what I'm like. So we are always going back to ourselves. We manifest our own energy. We manifest our own reality. And how we react to others also dictates our reality. Now, we're going to get all sorts of people in our life. We're going to get people that love us, and we're going to get the haters. The haters, they come out everywhere, don't they? You never know when you're going to be there minding your own Jedi business and somebody comes and pisses you off for no good reason. So Candy's back. Do you have any advice about not stressing? Well, funny you should mention that, Candy. Here's a bit of advice. What would you rather be doing? Let me ask you that question. If you're not stressing, how would you know, and what would you be doing instead? Let me ask you that question. Let me throw that back at you. Tell me what it is you do want to manifest rather than what you don't, and we'll talk about it. It's interesting, isn't it? So you've brought up a really fascinating topic, because one of the things that I have studied is a thing called neuro-linguistic programming. And one of the key foundations of neuro-linguistic programming is, and take that, I mean, that's a long-winded thing. What does it mean? It's a study of the brain and how it works. Neurolinguistics is how we think. Now, one of the most interesting things in neurolinguistics is that it is impossible. It's impossible to think of something that we don't want without getting it. So there is no such thing as a negative. Our brain doesn't process negatives. What does that mean, Adam? What the hell does it mean? Well, this is what it means, Candy. If I say to you, don't stress, what are you thinking? What are you thinking of right now? Don't stress. Don't stress. And Candy's jumped in now and said, okay, I want to be happy, actually. Nothing so specific. So there you go, Candy. There's the starting block. Rather than thinking about how do I not stress, ask yourself, how do I become happier? Now, you see that it sounds trivial, but it's a massive thing from our mind's perspective. Most people are focused on what they don't want and not on what they do. And this is actually this is a fascinating discussion, really interesting. You've brought up a really interesting topic. So our motivation process. We have two methods of motivation. Some will argue others, but at the foundation of it all, we have a towards motivation, and that's when we're motivated towards something we want. And we have an away motivation, which means we're motivated to get away from what we don't want. So if you don't want stress, you'll walk away from stress, but you may be walking in a worse direction because you're not walking towards a specific goal. I don't like stress. Oh, there's stress there, walk away. Oh, there's stress there too, walk away. And before you know it, you're walking in this massive stress circle because you're wired to walk away from stress. But if you are focused on happiness, then you know what you want. And your brain is saying happiness. It's not saying stress. It's not, I don't want stress. It's, I want happiness. I want happiness. And what you'll do from an energetic perspective is you'll start to attract happiness and to see happiness. So it's really important that we energize what we want, not what we don't. That's a brilliant question, because you've unlocked an absolute gem, because this is the fundamentals of how the brain works. And when I've worked with people and I say, what do you want? I mean, some people are so traumatized, they're so caught in what they, where they're at. I've seen this hundreds of times. I'll say, what do you want? I don't want him to shout at me anymore. Yes, but what do you want? I don't want to have to listen to that every day. Yes, but what do you want? I don't want him treating me with disrespect. Yes, but what do you want? And quite frequently, I just keep asking the same question. And I just get this string of things that people don't want. And in knowing, in owning what they don't want, they're attracting more of it. Because you are energizing things that you don't want by saying that you don't want them. This is so important from an energy perspective. You've actually unlocked an absolute gem there, Candy. It's a brilliant question. And this is actually right at the foundation of human behavior and why so many people go so wrong. Go so wrong with it. I didn't want that. Yes, but you energized it. But I don't like that. Yes, but you've energized it. And this is why when we're bitching, and I'm not judging bitching, we're all going to do it. But you'll notice that there's some people. Here's a gauge. Here's actually a really good litmus test. A really good litmus test. And Candy said, wow, very interesting. Love what you said. Well, I'm glad it's helped, Candy. It was a great question. And it's helped me to help you. Helped me to help you, because this is really important stuff. Because quite often, and what I found on this journey, is that the most profound stuff is the simplest. It's the simplest. Now, I've just told you something like that, and it probably makes total sense, but have you ever really considered that before? Have you really given it the time to think about the stuff like that? Say, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. What do I want? What do I want more of? Is it happiness? Happiness. Well, what makes you happy? Energize happiness. How would you know if you were happy? Here's another question for you, Candy. If you're struggling with it, just think. If I ask you this question, go with the first thought that you have. When was the time that you were happy? When were you at your happiest? What were you doing? What were you thinking? What were you saying? So let's have a look. Candy's back. Also, I have a very basic knowledge about Jedi things. Do you mind explaining more about what it is? Now there, Candy is a can of worms that you've just opened. So I get quite a lot. Obviously, you are my Jedi friends. I say I'm a Jedi. I do a Jedi training. Now you've got Star Wars fans out there that have a very different idea of what a Jedi is. You're going to go around waving lightsabers and taking out Siths. Well, that's now that's not wrong. You're not necessarily not a Jedi for not wanting to do that. But yes, there's a distinction here. So let me clarify. Let me see. There's the Star Wars version, which I probably don't need to explain, and then there's my version. Being a Jedi is taking control of your own energy. Being a Jedi is not being subservient to anyone else and having total control of your own outcomes, regardless what happens to you. There you go. There's Jedi. Oh, Tammy's in. We've got Tammy. Thank you for that insight. That's what I've been doing wrong. It's all right, Tammy. Look, we've all gone wrong at some stage. We had to go wrong. It was actually part of the divine plan. Part of the divine plan. We came here asleep. We were born asleep as chickens. Chickens! We were actually born an eagle. You were born eagles, but you were put in with the chickens. And the awakening process is brutal. It's brutal. And, you know, the only way that you get motivated enough to wake up is to be traumatized. And this is really what we've been talking about on the stream so far. You had to be traumatized to wake up, my Jedi friends. Had to be traumatized to wake up. So I hope that answers your question, Candy. It really is that simple. When I talk about being a Jedi, here's a litmus test. When everyone around you has lost the plot and you feel entirely isolated, how are you with yourself? What is left? What's your relationship with yourself like when nobody agrees with you, nobody gets you, no one understands you, and you feel very isolated? How are you with your own company? How are you with your own energy? And how do you bounce back if the shit hits the fan? There you go. That's what Jedi is. A Jedi is somebody that it could absolutely hit the fan, will be able to take their own energy, be on their own, and raise their vibration. There you go. There's a very simple explanation of what I believe it's like to be a Jedi. Because I believe that the people on this stream now, and fair play to you, seem we're up to 7. That's good. That's good. Especially since this was quite an impromptu event. I only decided earlier today that I was going to do it. Popped this out at midnight, I did, and I thought I'd let people know. But the point being is that all energy work, it's not about other people energizing you. Oh, I'm going for healing today. Well, the truth is, from an energy perspective, if you want a healing, if you want energy work, you can give it to yourself. But do you deserve it? Do you believe that you can do it? And the fact is, you only get that belief through doing it regularly. Doing it regularly, my Jedi friends, to empower yourself, to energize yourself. So Candy has said it involves law of attraction, ? Do you believe in law of attraction? Well, that's another interesting case. I think I did a video on that last week, Candy. So I've always believed that the law of attraction is I've got enough people in my world to do their vision boards and it all came to work. It all came to pass. Me, I've had a bit more brutal awakening on the law of attraction. Now, I've always been lucky. Maybe that's the Irish within me. I've always been lucky when it really mattered. Because I used to, in my younger years, I used to do a lot of backpacking and I used to take a lot of risk. And I did put myself in some potentially life endangering positions and was very lucky when it mattered. Very lucky, very serendipitous. Very serendipitous I was. Yes, I was back in the day. So, what I've come to believe, there's two things about the law of attraction that I believe are really important for you to know. So the first thing is that if it's out of alignment, then you are going to not attract it. It might not be in your bigger purpose. But if you, and not only that, you have to feel it. I've just seen Alex is on the line. I was speaking to Alex earlier and he said he'd be here. Alex is working out at the moment, folks. So fair play to Alex. That's kudos. He's been working all day and now he's working out. So got to give kudos to Alex that he's a man. And there's a man multitasking as well. He's multitasking. He's only got 3% left on his battery. I don't know if he's on about his phone or his motivation. I'm pretty certain it is relating to his phone. Maybe his motivation is somewhere similar after the day he's had. He's been put through the rinser today, folks. Put through the rinser. So fair play, Alex. Kudos to you, my friend. And back to you, Candy, with the law of attraction. So yes, two things that are critical. The first thing is it might not be your sole intention. So the analogy I used on my video was when I first heard of the law of attraction, the first thing I decided that I wanted to get a load of money. It didn't come. It didn't come. It didn't come. I've since come to realize that had I been given a load of money when I thought I wanted it, I wouldn't have learned all the lessons that I needed to learn to do what I'm doing now, which is my sole purpose. That I wouldn't have got here if I'd had money back then, because I had to hit rock bottom. I had to deal with the dark side of the force. I had to grow a backbone. I had to learn how to deal with arseholes, and all of that came from me having no money, from actually saying enough is enough. So me trying to manifest that back then, it was out of my soul alignment. It wouldn't have given me the lessons that I needed. So if we ask for stuff that's out of our soul purpose or that doesn't align with why we're here, then we're not going to attract it. But the most important part is we have to feel it. Do you believe in yourself? And this is right back to energy. If you want more love in your life, you have to start by loving yourself. If you want more abundance in your life, you have to feel it. You have to feel abundant. You have to walk around giving it large, fake it till you make it or whatever, but you have to feel it. Candy's asked, do you have any law of attraction tips? Well, let's do it right now, Candy. What do you want more? You want more happiness. Well, start to feel it now. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. One of them, and this is back to NLP techniques, is to think of a memory when you were happiest. Think of something in the past where you were at your happiness. What were you thinking? What were you feeling? What made you happy? What made you happy? Just think of one of the biggest laughs that you had. I mean, for me, I'm going back to some of the weekends away with my mates, and I used to make them dress up. I used to say, bring a wig and go out as an alter ego. And some of the nights were just so ridiculous. Seeing all these professional people go out in their wigs on, calling each other their aliases or their porn star names. It was ridiculous. It was so ridiculous that we were just laughing all weekend. So there you go. That's how you do it, Candy. You get associated with happy memories. And now what you're going to do is you're going to associate that feeling and you're going to bring it right into the here and now. And you're going to start telling yourself, I am happy. I radiate happiness. I radiate happiness. Here you go. I'll do it for you. Radiating happiness. That's what it's all about. And you just work with the energy of happiness. What would the energy of happiness feel about? What would it feel like? What does it feel like when you're happy? What do you do differently? How do you think differently? And here's something, Candy, that is really right at the basic of it all. So a little bit of research that I found when I was doing my, I was writing my book, and I can't find this research anymore. It was in some Canadian journal, and it said that it was about smiling. Now, smiling, even a full smile, triggers endorphins for the brain, and it's your body's natural feel-good drug. Endorphins are released every time you smile. And here's the thing, the brain hasn't learned to distinguish the difference between a real smile and a fake one. So you really can fake it till you make it. You get a free endorphin boost just by doing this. Even if you're not feeling it, just your smile creates endorphins. Now, that's a fact. Now, they did research on the average adult to see how many times they smile every day. And they did one on a 4-year-old toddler. The average 4-year-old smiles 400 times a day. 400 times a day. You want to know the stat for the average adult? The average adult, 13 times. 13 times, folks. But we'd rather take antidepressants than smile more, because I have got nothing to smile about. Because my life is miserable, and my story, I'm going to carry it like a weight on my back. Candy said, man, I love you. You're so much fun. Thank you. Well, thank you, Candy. That is very kind of you. There you go. That's the sort of thing, you know, we've got to have a bit of fun. Fun brings happiness. Fun is what it's all about. You can't take it too seriously. Fun is actually a Jedi skill. It's a Jedi skill. So here's a little story. I've told this in my previous videos, but I'm guessing that nobody's watched all of my videos. So I shall repeat myself. I shall repeat myself and tell you a little story. Come hither, my Jedi friends. I'll tell you a little story. A little story I shall tell. So when I was a student nurse, we spent our first year. In fact, let's go back a step, because you couldn't make this shit up. So traditional nurse training, they put you straight on the wards after 8 weeks. So by the time you hit year 2, you were highly proficient in nursing skills. Some genius created this new nursing training when I started training back in 1992 and called it Project 2000. They were going to train a new breed of super nurse. This was the whole thing. They got twice the credit points as traditional nurses. So they created a ripple saying that we were better at them. We were going to be better. And the whole first year for us, they didn't put us anywhere near the wards. So we didn't have a clue what we were doing. So as year 2 students, we had to go on the ward, and we'd all the traditional nurses all pissed off because we were the new breed of super nurses. Super nurses we were. Super. And they took great pleasure in revealing what a bunch of useless idiots we were with no practical skills, which was true. We didn't. I was walking around like the proverbial spare prick at the wedding, just not knowing what I should be doing, not knowing how to interact. And in the end, I used to think, right, this is so ridiculous, so painful. I just used to sit down and talk to the patients. It's the only thing I knew how to do without looking utterly ridiculous. So I spent a lot of time talking to the patients, and I was working in a medical admissions ward, which meant that we got people straight from the accident and emergency department, or the emergency room, if you're in America, used to come to us while they were undergoing tests. So they used to come and give tests, and we got this guy in. He must have been in his 40s. He was in his 40s. He came in, and he had a bit of pain. He was a middle-aged, really old school, muscle-bound builder. Now, he'd got a bit of pain in his stomach. He'd come in, and he thought he was just in for a few painkillers. He just wanted a few painkillers. So he had the pain, but he wanted to finish the job he was on. They were building a couple of houses. So he spent a few weeks finishing the job and then came in for the painkillers, or so he thought. And he used to sit down, I'd have a chat with him, and he'd tell me, oh, I just want some painkillers, bit of pain in my stomach, blah, 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 blah. And we used to have chats. And I used to talk to him about football. And if you're over here, I asked him what football team he followed, and he said a team called Leyton Orient, who at that time were at the bottom division, the bottom professional league, right at the bottom. They were rubbish. They were definitely getting relegated that season. So I used to rib him a little bit about why would you support Leyton Orient? It was like an ongoing joke between the two of us. You know, I'm like, no wonder you're in pain if you support them. You know, this kind of banter that we had, me and this guy. And I remember going in on day 3. It was day 3. We were waiting for all the tests. The test results had come back, and they'd found this guy had got terminal cancer. It had gone on so long, he'd left it so long to come in that it spread so far, it was now inoperable. And he'd pretty much been handed a death sentence that day. And I'm there at handover thinking, holy shit, what do I say to this guy? And I was just a student nurse, a useless one. I didn't have any skills in actual nursing skills. I remember listening to this and then thinking, shit, I've got to go and face him now. What do you say to somebody that's just been handed a death sentence? And I walked over to his bed and I said, look, Steve, I've just heard the news. I really don't know what to say. Is it all right if I just sit down? And I just sat down. I said nothing because I didn't know what to say. What do you say to somebody, you know, in their 40s that thought they were coming in for a few painkillers and had just found out they've got a death sentence? And I just sat there. I thought, I've got no idea. What do you say at a time like this? And after about, it seemed like days, it seemed like forever sitting there in that energy. But it's probably about 2-3 minutes. He eventually turned around to me and he said, tell me honestly, Adam, is there any hope? And the first thing that popped in my mind, it seemed like the right thing to say. It just popped in my mind. I had no experience in any of the things. And I just said, well, put it this way, Steve, you've got more chance of staying alive than Leyton Orient have of staying in the league this year. And the two of us just burst out laughing, the two of us. It was a release. It was an energy release. And we were rolling around, tears rolling down our eyes. It just came out, you know. He'd expected, obviously, some serious answer. I'd cracked a joke, and the two of us are rolling around laughing. Now, the senior nurse, who was my facilitator, she marched her way down the ward. Marched her way down, she did. The matron came down and demanded in front of him, get to the office. I need you in the office now. Marched me into the office, and she had a go at me for what she deemed as inappropriate laughter. I said, what do you call inappropriate laughter? She was like, you are laughing at him. I was like, no, I was laughing with him. Did you not notice he was laughing as well? I said, and you've just made him feel like shit by pulling me into the office, the one person that gave him something positive today. So me being me and a student, a useless student, because I'd been, all the nurses were telling me, you know, yeah, they don't know anything, these Project 2000. So I went and wrote a dissertation. I wrote a massive 10,000 word project, and I fully researched the use of humor in medical settings. And guess what, my Jedi friends, there's a ton of research to say how humor in terminal settings and medical settings, it actually aids healing. There's so much interesting stuff on this one. It really is. It's just endless. And I did a thesis on it. And when I'd finished it, I printed out an extra copy and I went back to the ward to hand it to the nurse that done me for inappropriate laughter. So there you go. There you go. So that is that's a true story, my Jedi friends. I've pulled that one out the bag. I didn't see that. So I've got Anna and Jill saying, enjoy your humor, Adam. Well, thank you. Thank you. Actually calling me Andy now. Look at that. I've changed my name. It's all right. I've been called way worse. Way worse. And Candy says there is always hope. Yes, there is. There is always hope. And that is really why I went into energy medicine. So for those of you that don't know, the reason I do this is because of stuff like that. Because I had to deal with hundreds of people facing death. Hundreds. but some of them were younger than I am now. People in their 30s and 40s that came in with a bit of pain and got handed a death sentence. And the question that everyone wants to know is there any hope? And it was genuinely not having an answer to that got me to study energy. That's what got me into it, folks. Because when people are staring death in the face and the medical system has written them off, the one thing you need is hope. And someone that can crack a joke is a definite bonus in that state, I can tell you for certain. Someone that can handle it, someone that doesn't treat you like you're dead already, is a superpower skill. You want as many mates like that as you can. I'm very lucky because I do know friends that will crack a joke even when the shit's hit the fan. And they are gold. They are absolutely gold on this journey. So there you go. I didn't expect that. I think I'm going to have a sip of tea. It's cup of tea time, folks. It's live stream cup of tea. So there you go. Pulled that little story out of the bag. So yes, it is a very interesting serendipitous thing. And that's what ultimately got me into energy. It was having to look people in the eye who had no hope and say, shit. Yeah, cool mug, Candy says. What's on it? So, all right, well, that gave me an excuse to have another one. My sister brought me this back from Iceland. It's a bunch of cartoon Vikings. She went to Iceland a couple of years ago, and this was what she brought me back, a mug. She said a mug for a mug. She's not wrong. She's not wrong. So, and that's my green tea with jasmine. Green tea with jasmine, folks. That's what I'm drinking. So here we go. Here we go. Let's have a look. And what's on it? The drawing thingy. Yeah, that's a load of Vikings, a load of cartoon Vikings. And it actually says, let's see, the Icelandic Viking. The Icelandic Viking is written across. That's the writing on it. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Adam, the phone changed to Andy. Lol. Apologies. It's okay. I know that you know who I am. Phones are funny fish. They're funny fish. They do things like that. They act out of alignment. They do all sorts of un-Jedi things. The Force is strong within them. Yes, humor is healing. So I've got 2 for 1 here, though. I mean, obviously, I don't know if it's Anna or Jill that's writing these little messages, because I got a 2 for 1 intro at the beginning of it all, and that is the Owl Hawk. The Owl Hawk. It's Jill and Anna. I've got them both on. My Jedi friends from Ireland. The Irish connection is with me. The Force is strong within them. The Force is strong within you, my Jedi friends. It is. It is. The Force is strong. So there you go. I think we've actually uncovered some really interesting stuff here, folks. So, you know, what is energy about? I mean, the first and most foremost thing, the reason I do what I do is because when I learned energy, we learned a course, and then you just go out and do it yourself and you get lost. I challenge anyone that hasn't got lost on that path. Trying to make sense of energy, does it work? One of the biggest mistakes that I made was thinking that if I do energy work, that people are going to feel better at the end of it. A lot of people don't. So let's bring this alive. Let's bring this alive with energy. And I tell people on my Jedi training program, this is like a mantra. It gives you what you need, not what you want. Now, very occasionally, what you want might be what you need, but that's more luck than judgment. You can't predict it. You cannot predict it. Oh, so it's Anna. Anna's got the writing the text of the Owl Hawk today. Well, fair play, Anna. Jill is in the background. Jill has no access to the panel. Well, fair play, Anna. Fair play. But anyway, it's I've even forgot most of it. Oh, geez, I'm gonna have a cup of tea. I'm gonna have a sip of tea, and then we'll think of what we're gonna say. People get lost on the journey. I challenge any one of you, and there's probably some people on here that have trained in some sort of energy medicine, Reiki or whatever it is, vortex healing, hypnotherapy. You've done some sort of energy work. It's so easy to get lost. when you're left on your own to do it. Use energy. Now, this is it's a system that you can use 24/7, but you have to believe in yourself and you have to love yourself enough to want to use it. And you have to have the relationship with yourself right. And you have to be tuned to all these little nuances about, towards and away from, like not wanting stress being very different to wanting happiness. It sounds like the same thing, but they're actually polar opposite energies, polar opposite. Saying I don't want stress in my life is an away from motivation and it vibrates over here. Saying I want happiness, that vibrates over here. And there's all that stuff in the middle. They're not just slightly different, they're polar opposite. Now, in your mind, it's the same thing. And this is where so many people go wrong. Here's another classic example. Here's a few classic examples. When I first learned this, my nephews were about 3 and 4, and they were playing in the garden. And I said, look, you have to tell people what you want them to do, not what you don't want them to do. And I looked at them both, and there's all the grass, and there were paving slabs. And it was clear that their game was staying on the paving slabs and just jumping from one paving slab to another. I was watching them. They were totally off the grass. They were just playing on the paving slabs, jumping from one paving slab to another. And I watched my sister put her head round the door and say, stay off the grass. And what were they doing 20 seconds later? I just saw these two little heads look up, and the next thing they're sliding down the grass. They weren't anywhere near the grass till they were told not to do it. And this is the whole concept that the human brain cannot process a negative. If you want someone to do something, you don't tell them what not to do. That probably sounds confusing. Let's bring that alive. There's a great difference between saying don't forget your keys to remember your keys. Remember to bring your keys. Don't forget to bring your keys. Sounds like the same thing to the untrained, but from an energy perspective, they're polar opposite. Polar opposite. So how are you communicating things? Are you telling people what you don't want them to do? Or are you telling people what you do want them to do? Are you telling yourself what you want? Or are you telling yourself what you don't want any more of? Because it matters from an energy perspective. It matters, my Jedi friends. This is really, really important. Really important. We have uncovered a gem of a learning here today. If you just take that alone from this live stream, you have a gift that will keep giving you. Because you start to notice things then, how people communicate. And so many people are absolutely hardwired into saying what they don't want. In fact, they're absolutely expert on it. And what the only thing that they're more expert on that is validating their reality, that bad things always happen to them. I told you, typical of my luck. Here's a few common phrases from people that are caught in this trap. Nothing ever lucky happens to me. That's typical. These things happen in threes. Now, if it's good things, then that's not so bad. But I say not so bad. There's me using a double negative. It's not good. It's not good. So saying things is very bad or it's not good, even that energetically is different. So being aware of all of the language that you use is really highly significant from an energy perspective, because our energy follows thought. And I want to be happier is very different to I don't want any more stress. There it is. Mic drop, folks. Mic drop. Mic drop. And there it was, the tumbleweed. Let them process that, Adam. Process that. Process it. Because this is powerful stuff. It's powerful. I can feel it. I can feel the energy rising. Yes. This is very relevant. It's very relevant, my Jedi friends. It's really, really important that you get this. that you get this, that you get it. So important. Otherwise, you'll stay stuck with the chickens. Little old eagle you'll be stuck in with the chickens. Cluck, 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 and you will never realize your eagle potential, my Jedi friends. It will not happen. It will not happen. You will not wake up. Tammy Hoskins is back. OMG, I felt that mic drop clear over here in America. Lol. Fair play to you, Tammy. Fair play to you. Fair play to you. You know it. You know it. You will feel happier. And there it is. There it is. There's in all of its glory. All of its glory. There is the mic drop. It's there. It's there. It feels like that should be the conclusion of this live stream. I feel like I've done it. I feel like I've done what I came here to do today, my Jedi friends. So, unless you have any further questions for me, this feels like a good segue for me to sign off. To sign off! Because I think we've covered quite a lot in this little stream. I really do. And I don't think it's going to add a whole lot more for me to add anymore. Because sometimes less is more. Less is more, my Jedi friends. Less is more. He can get the message across. He can do it more quickly. He can do it more quickly. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. So, my Jedi friends, on that bombshell, boom! I think I'm going to sign off. I think so. I feel like my work is done here. So I'll give it a minute in case anyone's got any final things they want to say. But otherwise, my Jedi friends, I shall wish you a fantastic day. Go out there, energize what you want, not what you don't. Energize what you want, not what you don't. Be a better friend to yourself. Tammy wants the winning lottery numbers. Don't we all, my Jedi friend? But see, we're right back to the law of attraction thing that I said about early. It may not be in your best interests to get all of that cash right now, Tammy. You might have to get your pain and suffering higher so that you can be an absolute Jedi in dealing with arseholes. That could be part of it. That's how it was for me. That's how it was for me. So Anna has said, thank you. Appreciate your wisdom. Well, it's very glad to have you here today, Anna and Jill, both of you. The Irish Connection. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for joining in the chat. And thank you all for asking the questions that have led to these little gems. The universe works in mysterious ways. And on that note, my Jedi friends, I shall love you and leave you and wish you a fabulous rest of the day, energizing all the things that will make you feel better.